J.R. Fisher here. Welcome to the training this morning. I guess it's kind of training. It's about money, right? That's what we're all here about, is money and doing the right thing and helping other people out. Hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do so. Hit that subscribe button, turn it from red to gray. Don't forget to ring the bell, turn on all bell notifications so you're notified each and every time we go live. Hey, I did an interesting title today, didn't I? It says, Money Isn't Everything, How to Know If You've Made Too Much Money. Is it possible? Is it possible to make too much money? Hey, in today's session, I'm going to talk about money. I'm going to talk about where people get it from, how they get it. In fact, I know I'm going to dispel some myths about money and stuff you may think already about money. I want you to participate. I want you to be part of the conversation. In doing so, you'll get more out of this. And the way you do that is you put comments in that chat section. Now, if you're not watching this live by chance, since 95% of the views I get are not live, I get that. They can't just take off on a Friday morning at 10 o'clock and just sit back and watch me. But you can still be part of the conversation. All you have to do is post in the comments below after this video is posted. We're going to talk about some interesting stuff. Your attitudes toward money, where you think money comes from. What are you going to do with your money? Money is, I guess, the way I look at money is it just gains you freedom. Okay. So freedom can be good. It can be bad. You can do bad things with your freedom. You can do good things with your freedom, but money does allow you freedom. So I want to dig into inheriting money and winning money and earning money and all those things around money, because there's a lot of stuff there around money. But like I said, I'd love to hear your opinions. Put that in the chat section there. I want to hear what you think about money, what you think's going on. You know, when I was a kid, I'd say I grew up poor. I always had food. Okay. So I always had food. I didn't always have the right clothes, and we certainly didn't live in the right house or the right neighborhood. As a matter of fact, the neighborhood I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, I talked to a friend who lives there now, and he says, you can't even drive through that neighborhood. It's gotten so bad. And it was pretty bad then. But literally, if you pull up at a stoplight or a stop sign, it was South Memphis, you're probably going to get robbed. You're going to get carjacked. Something's going to happen to you. The police don't respond there like they should. So that's where I grew up. So my view of money was a whole lot different than maybe somebody who grew up in a really nice home and had nice things and all that. I didn't have all that. I remember being in line at what was the name of that store? It's one of these 5 and 10 stores when I was a kid. I was probably about 8 or 9. And I looked up, and the person in front of me had a $5 bill. And I was like, wow, $5. Holy crap. Can you imagine having $5? Because I always had change in my pocket, not always, but when I did have money, it was change in my pocket. Later on, I started college on my own. My dad had passed away, and I had some debts, and I was trying to get together anywhere between $1,000, $2,000. And I just thought that was an impossibility. There's no way anybody's going to have that kind of money, $1,000 to $2,000. Now, some days in our business, we'll do, 6 figures a day online. And that's pretty crazy to me. I'm going to answer that question if you have too much money. I think that's kind of interesting. So what are the real things about money? How'd you get your money? Okay, I think that's an interesting thing. And you're welcome to put something in the chat about that. There's one thing you can do to get money, and that's inherit it. Okay, that means you get money from other people. Now, when it comes to building wealth and all that, I think there's a lot of bad information out there. A lot of people think these millionaires got their money through these big inheritances through their family. They think that if you don't come from a wealthy family, that you're never going to be wealthy. And that's kind of how I thought as a kid. I was like, well, you're born rich or you're born poor, and that's who you are throughout your entire life. And that's just not true. It's more of a fiction type thing that we're fed. There was a large study called the National Study of Millionaires, and it uncovered the truth about how all these people actually built their wealth. Inheritance aren't as important as you think. Okay, that's not really an important thing. And I always thought it was when I was younger. How did millionaires inherit their wealth? Just how does the myth that millionaires' wealth simply just fell in their lap? And in this study, they found out that 74% of millennials believe millionaires inherited their money, and more than half of baby boomers think the same thing. That's what we think. that's not the case. That's not what's going on, as a matter of fact. The study of millionaires kind of blows that theory out of the water. So here's some facts. Only 21% of all millionaires received any inheritance at all. Okay, but it didn't make them rich, because there were only 16% that inherited more than $100,000. And get this, there's only 3% that received an inheritance over $1 million. So that's saying 97% of the people really didn't inherit much money, and yet they were millionaires. So you kind of got to dig into what was going on here. So if you really think about this, most people believe that millionaires simply inherited their wealth. Okay, that's the thought across the board. It's not right. But the vast majority of millionaires didn't get any inheritance at all. They got nothing. And those who did certainly didn't get enough to make them millionaires. That didn't happen. There are exceptions out there, but for the most part, that's not who millionaires are. And remember that an inheritance isn't some automatic golden ticket to wealth, okay? Matter of fact, one study found that 1/3 of the folks who received an inheritance actually saw no change, or they actually had a decline in their wealth afterwards. So whether you get $10,000 or $100,000, what makes most important is what you do with that inheritance, okay? So it's not how much you get, it's what you do with it. So how many Americans actually received an inheritance? If 21% of millionaires inherited their money, how does that measure up against the rest of America? Well, the Federal Reserve asked the question, and guess what their answer was? 21%. That's right. Millionaires and the general population received inheritance at the same exact rate. So don't miss this. Millionaires are no more likely to get an inheritance than their neighbor who's swimming in debt. Okay, so that is not it, guys. That's not the key. And if that's what you think, you know, this training today is going to kind of blow that out of the water. If you do happen to get an inheritance, you're probably going to have to wait a pretty long time to get one. So here's the truth about inheritance. If you think you're going to get rich at 21, the average age when Americans get an inheritance is what? 51. And more than a quarter of inheritance wind up going to folks over the age of 61. Okay, so by then you probably have certain, I guess, thoughts in your mind that control money and how you get money and all that. The typical size of an inheritance these days is around $55,000. Okay, you can't even buy a new, I don't know, truck for that. I saw the Wagoneer come out the other day, and the Grand Wagoneer, and I think the cheap one is $61,000, and then the big one starts at $89,000. So it wouldn't even pay for one of those. So if you're banking on inheritance to make your millions, you're probably going to have to come up with a brand new plan. So where do these millionaires get money? If only a small percentage of millionaires in the survey received an inheritance, you got to ask yourself, where do the millionaires actually build their wealth? Work. Old-fashioned, gritty, roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty type of work. And you know, that's what I preach on this channel. A lot of people don't like it because they want to believe that they can work 4 hours a week and make $1 million a year and not really put forth any effort. They want to believe that they can just hire somebody to do stuff for them and build their business for them, when in fact, that's not how it works. It's just not how it works. Despite all this discipline and consistency, these two factors working together will beat out high-paying jobs and inheritance and luck every time. And the good news is, okay, having financial discipline is what it is. Ranked number one, beating everything else, financial discipline was it. Number two was saving consistently, okay, investing in something. And the good news is we can all choose discipline and consistency. Everybody can do that. I know you're going to say, well, I don't have enough money left over to even, save anything. Could you save $1? Could you save $5? Could you not get that cappuccino frappe, whatever, that costs $8 at Starbucks? I mean, I go to Starbucks, don't get me wrong. I get a cup of tea and it was $2.25 and it went to $2.65. It's up to $3.09 now. So I'm thinking about just discarding that idea because that's getting expensive for me. These aren't reserved for special or lucky people. Anyone can commit to being financially disciplined, and it's a choice you can make, okay? If you waste a few bucks every single morning, that's money, that you could save. Okay, so it's easy to dismiss the idea of becoming a millionaire. You can tell yourself it can't be done unless you get an inheritance or end up winning some contest or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show or something like that. But the fact is it can be done. And there's a true story of two baby step millionaires that prove otherwise. Okay. So I'm going to introduce you. I want to introduce you to Ben and Courtney. Okay. Now, Ben and Courtney met in college and they shared, very similar goals about, staying out of debt, working hard towards financial independence and all that. Growing up, Ben's father and grandfather taught him that if you wanted to get something, you needed to really work hard and save instead of borrowing money to pay for it. Meanwhile, Courtney's father taught her a great work ethic. So they both had a good financial standing. Ben started mowing lawns when he was 14 years old and continued mowing lawns all through high school to save money for college. He went on to graduate, and with an engineering degree and no debt, he immediately started investing 15% of his $35,000 salary into his company, 401k. He had a company 401k. When she was 19 years old, Courtney actually worked long, hard hours, and she worked in fast food to pay for her college tuition at a local community college, not some fancy college, Eventually, she found a higher paying job at a bank, and she earned more for her tuition. She also opened a Roth IRA account while contributing to her 401k as well. Courtney graduated with an education degree and began her career as a teacher. So Ben and Courtney got married. They set up this budget to live off of, just one of their incomes so they could save and invest the rest and avoid lifestyle creep, which we know what that is, where you just keep buying more and more things and more and more things. So they didn't want to spend more money just because they were making more money. At that point, they didn't have children. They were really focused on, using all of their retirement accounts, maxing them out, paying off their house early, all that good stuff. Following the baby steps, principles from, a young age and growing their income from say 50,000 on up to got to 185,000 in less than 20 years, it made it possible for Ben and Courtney to become millionaires before they turned 40 years old. Now, as a 39-year-old supply chain manager and a 36-year-old teacher, their $1.7 million net worth looked like this. So think about this. They had $620,000 in 401k accounts. They had $450,000 in Roth IRAs. They had $230,000 in a taxable account. They had $50,000 in a 529 account, and they had a $350,000 paid for house. So that's their net worth. Interesting. And here's the kicker. Neither one of them received any money through inheritance to get to this point. What they did inherit from their parents, which is a whole lot more important, is something like the value of hard work and discipline. So their story really kind of proves that you don't need an inheritance to build wealth. Hard work, financial discipline. I know it's boring, right? It's really boring, right? But that's what created the foundation that helped them become millionaires before they were 40 years old. So you got to look at this differently, guys. I know I thought when I was a kid, you were born rich or you were born poor. It's not how it works. Paul says, also, most millionaires aren't driving a Lamborghini. No, they're not. Best book on the subject is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Very good book. I also like The Richest Man in Babylon. That's on my reading list. Also, The Millionaire Next Door. I have read both of those, Paul, and you're absolutely right. I love The Millionaire Next Door because it's basically a working guy, some guy who has a repair garage or something like that. You would never know. They drive very basic cars. That's a great book. I really enjoyed that book. It was a good read. So that kind of dispels this myth. Now, let's look at the other way of making money, winning the lottery. So what happens to most lottery winners? I'm sure you've heard some of these horror stories, but lottery winners don't tell you what life is really like after winning the lottery. So let's take a look at what it's like, and I've done a little bit of studying on this, did some research. Winning the lottery sounds like a dream come true, doesn't it? All your money problems are obliterated in an instant, and the future looks bright thanks to newfound financial freedom. Sure, it looks fabulous. It looks great at first glance, but there's more to winning all this money than what really people tell you. Before you play the most winning lottery numbers and study which state has the most winning numbers, I want you to think about past lottery winners and what they had to say after winning the lottery. It may be a whole lot different than what you expected. The first part is it's kind of like easy come, easy go. Life after winning the lottery may not stay glamorous forever. Whether you win $500 million or $1 million, about 70% of all lottery winners lose or spend all of that money in the next 5 years. So 5 years, it's gone. Okay, 70%. Think about that, guys. So winning the lottery probably is not the best way to go about it. Do lottery winners play the lottery? Absolutely, yes. Once they win the lottery, they still play it. That's one thing that came out in the study. But the next thing that's going to happen is you're probably going to be exploited. I used to have an air charter, well, I used to manage an air charter business in San Diego, and I knew some of the airplane salesmen. Yeah, there's a job for that, airplane salesman. And they would get lists of lottery winners. And they would start calling that list because they know those people would blow money on dumb things. And airplanes are a very poor investment, especially small planes. You can never get your money out of it. It always goes slow. It's always quicker to take an airline. But a lot of people want to own an airplane. So let me share a story with you, a real sob story, okay, about local taxes and how they're going to, take this person's house if she couldn't pay. This is a lottery winner. She said after she left, she got her computer, looked up her tax records, and saw that she wasn't behind. And she printed out that page and sent it to him. Well, at the end of the friendship, because her friend was trying to borrow money from her, it all fell apart. And what's going to happen is a lot of these lottery winners, their friends and family say, well, you've got a lot of money now. You need to share with me. You need to give me some money. And what happens is a lot of friendships are broken, okay? If you win $6 million and you find yourself in a room full of lottery winners, I want you to think about this. Your money is really, I don't know how to put it. It's not a lot of money based on who you're around, or it's a lot of money based on who you're around. So if you win $6 million and you're in a room full of winners who won $100 million, all of a sudden you feel like the poor one. Okay. You're the person that doesn't have much money because you only won $6 million. Okay. So this one family said that after they won the lottery, they bought an 8-bedroom, 7-bath, 10,000 square foot mansion because they could. And it sounded amazing. But they're selling the house after all this because that 8-bedroom, 7-bath mansion was totally impractical for their family of 4. They didn't need it. Why would they need all those extra bedrooms? Why would they need all those bathrooms? It's just more to clean. I can tell you I had a house in Virginia that I built, and it wasn't a mansion by any stretch of the imagination, but it was 5,500 square feet. It had 6 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms. I remember my son, his chores were to clean the bathrooms, and I would say, you need to clean the bathrooms, and he would say, do I have to do all of them? I said, yeah, you got to do all of them. All of them matter, especially the ones that don't get used. They actually get dirtier. But if people only knew ahead of time that a lot of these trappings, a lot of these things that you would buy, they don't mean anything, guys. They really don't. I remember hearing a story about a family who planned this. They were lottery winners. And they planned this huge 4th of July party and invited all their neighbors, and none of them came. They thought that they didn't earn enough money to show up at a party like that. They thought they would be out of place because these people had become millionaires now because of what they won. You're also going to be sick of money questions. One of the lottery winners said that it drives me nuts when people ask me where I keep the money, how do I spend it, and if I still have it. No one would dream of asking a CEO a question like that, but lottery winners, we look at them differently. Your friends will change with your lifestyle. Life after winning the lottery may bring big chances for everyone in your life. All lottery winners think they're going to have the same friends, and they do, that they did forever. But things change. If you have $100 million, and let's say you want to fly to Aruba for the weekend, you need to find somebody who can afford to go with you. That's hard to do. Somebody can afford to go with you who takes time off like that. Or you need to be willing to pay for all their expenses for them. And that gets really old. That's why, I tell you guys, when you see the picture of the guy on the beach with the laptop, and he's not doing any work at all hardly, and making a ton of money, it's just not true. It's not a real thing, guys. It's just not. So I just really want to dispel some of those myths. Let's see, Paul here is getting around people who are where you want to be helps the mindset and the motivation. Absolutely. And what's funny is when you earn money, when people don't have the money you do, they feel uncomfortable around you. I've been in situations like that where I've made a little bit of money in my life, and some people just all of a sudden, they don't like me anymore. They don't want to be around me. But people who have money admire you for doing it, and they are going to want to be around you. Says here, Paul, I have to say that getting to events like Marketers Cruise opens your mind to new ideas and trends. Yes, and I'm going to be going there in January, Paul. I don't think you're going, but I'll be going there in January, and I love getting around those people, new ideas, So next thing is you're going to be forced into the spotlight. Okay. If you think you're going to win and remain anonymous, you better check the state laws. Most states require that you do a news conference and hold up a big check. So right off the bat, everybody knows who you are. You lose your privacy. Now people say, well, I can buy anything I want. I learned that what really matters and what people enjoy the most is being able to do things to help other people. My wife and I do that. We do a lot with animal charities and stuff like that. But something like that will bring you a whole lot more satisfaction than a $20,000 couch. Okay. So what should you do with your wealth? Okay. As you earn more money, what should you do with it? Many people nowadays have complicated their views on money. They want more of it, but there's also this guilt around having too much of it. And I get that. And, sometimes I actually feel that myself. But there's a few comments about this online about tax cuts for the wealthy, and you can see the general public thinks that those at the top 5 income brackets, rip people off or they cheat or whatever it is. The truth is, wealth provides you with so many life-changing benefits, providing you with the financial security, your peace of mind, your opportunity to help others. And I know people, matter of fact, I have a relative who is a billionaire, literally a billionaire, and her and her husband don't do anything for charity. And it drives me crazy. It just drives me crazy. They don't do anything for charity. And they go to the spa and the country club and go boating, and they have an elevator in the house. And it's a weird situation. But the point is, they're not enjoying the money. They're billionaires, but they don't enjoy the money. So here's some things you can do. And these are things that my wife and I like to do. You can give back. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be a millionaire to give money back. You don't have to do that at all. No matter where you are financially, you have a bit to spare. I believe everybody does. I always suggest giving back where you can. There are so many wealthy people around the world who have worked really hard through investments and smart business decisions to grow their wealth to levels where they can create change around the world. They can help other people. There's an American philanthropist, Eric H. Gordon. You can look him up. But he's an example of someone who's now using their wealth to make an impact on climate change, improving education, social change. Now, I'm not saying you have to agree with the way these people are giving their money out. I'm just saying they're giving their money out. What would you do with it? What are you doing? Are you helping anybody now? Are you doing any kind of charity? You too could use your wealth to invest in causes that are close to your heart, things that you want to see changed around the world. The next thing it really helps you with is reduce stress levels. Oh my gosh, that helped me so much. I remember being stressed out and having a lot of debt and worrying about how am I going to pay the bills and mortgage and all this stuff. Being broke is really stressful. Wondering if you're going to be able to make the rent or mortgage payment or whatever it is, and worrying about how you're going to be able to fix your car if it breaks. Oh my God, I hope my car doesn't break. That was me in college. As a matter of fact, my car broke down so much in college. Now I had AAA, so I could always get towed for free. And then one day they sent me a notice in the mail, and they said, if you call for one more tow truck this year, we're going to cancel your membership. I was like, what? They were going to cancel my tow membership at AAA if I used them one more time. So that told me, hey, I need to earn some more money because, hey, this is a bad situation. By the way, I canceled AAA not long after that. So how much money do you need to feel certain about your financial freedom? This is an open-ended question. I will tell you, because I went with the title here, have I made too much money? My answer is no, I have not. Okay, I have not made too much money. And it's not because I'm greedy. I don't spend a lot of money on my stuff. If I bought a mat the other day, a front mat for the house, and it has our initial, and it was handmade. And I thought, wow, that's extravagant to do that, to buy this mat. But it looks pretty and I like it. So, but I don't have any jewelry. I do have jewelry. I just don't wear it. And I don't have fancy cars. I don't believe in any of that. But I tell you the next thing it gives me, which I really like, is more time. Okay. Traditional working week is really exhausting. If you throw in your other responsibilities, like maybe you got kids, you got a wife or a husband, and you got pets. On top of all that, you need to maintain your home, keep in touch with, your friends and family, your parents. You got to make time for friends. Are you feeling stressed just reading this? Or excuse me, listening to this? Because if you are, I did too. The modern working week really doesn't leave that much time for other things. So having money really helps you out. Okay. It gives you time to spend with your friends, your loved ones. I would say the next thing is it gives you extra security for your family. No one wants to think about what would happen if they passed away. But the truth is something we all need to consider and plan for, because it's going to happen. There is nothing worse than losing a loved one, and in the midst of all of this emotional turmoil, having to divide that person's assets up where there was no will or instructions or anything, and probably no money in most cases. Reaching a certain level of wealth, you're ensuring that no matter what happens to you, your family will be taken care of. That's a good feeling, right? I want my kids, my wife, everybody to be taken care of. It also, when you earn money, it builds confidence to try more things. Okay, so if I earn a lot of money and I didn't think I could, and I do, okay, which I have, it makes me think, well, maybe I could do something else. And I did a few years ago. I wrote a book, and I'm working on another one. And Paul, no, I'm not done. Don't ask me. But it makes you think about that. It makes you think about what you could achieve. Maybe you want to go skiing. Maybe you want to paint now. You never thought about painting before. It never entered your brain because you couldn't even pay the bills. Why would you even consider standing there in front of an easel painting? The next thing it allows you to do is travel. Next month, we're going to be in Vegas at Zoo World, which is a big pet convention thing with thousands of people. The following month, we're going to be in Rome. January, I'm going to be on a marketer's cruise. It allows you to do these things, guys, and actually live life instead of just existing in life. Most people just exist. They get up every day, they go to a job, they come home, they get the kids in bed, the kids move out one day, and then they try to retire on half as much money as what they had before. I mean, that's what the general public does. It's a shame. They don't ever go through these small pains to have long-term gains. It's small pains for long-term gains, okay? And that is maybe staying up late, not watching TV and working on your business, sending out some emails, something like that. The next thing it does is you're going to see people in jobs in a different way. And what I mean by that is when I was in high school, I was a dishwasher at a restaurant called Victoria Station. I was so excited to have that job. People actually paid me to be there. They gave me money to be there. And I know to some of you say, well, dishwasher, that's not a very fancy job. But you know what? I knew who I was as a human being, and I knew I was a good human being. I was getting in a lot of trouble at that age. However, I was still deep down inside, I was a good human being, and I was a dishwasher. So when I go into a restaurant now and I see a busboy, which I've been, and I see a waiter, which I've been, or I look in the kitchen, I see a dishwasher, I'm like, all these people are just like me. They're exactly like me. The only difference is that they have a different job that I do. Okay, that's the only difference of those people and me. So it gives you a different perspective on the world out there. It makes you, care more about other people. So, I think it's a real advantage that I actually, let me see here, I'll put Paul's comment. I think it's a real advantage that I came from a poorer background because I understand those people. I was one of those people, okay? He says, it like you always said, experiences over things. Yeah, I mean, things, who cares about things? I like to have a nice house just to be comfortable when I'm here, but I don't have a mansion. I didn't take all my money and put it into one house. Why would I take all my money and put it into one house? I'm not going to use it all. I had a big house years ago. I learned my lesson on that, okay? I didn't use 6 bedrooms. It was me and my 2 kids. I was a single dad. I didn't need 6 bedrooms. You don't need 6 bedrooms. You don't need, no matter how much you make, you don't need to spend, I would say, any more than $20,000 a month. And I'm talking about your travel. I'm talking about your food, your living expenses, everything. You don't need but maybe $20,000 a month. Now, some of you may be listening to this going, oh my God, $20,000, that's so much money, JR. It's really not. It's really not a lot of money, but that's what's preventing you from getting to $20,000 a month, Like I said, some days in my business, we do 6 figures a day, which is really nice. I don't spend that. Why would I? Why would I spend that? That's ridiculous. You don't need to spend that. Now, every now and then I'll take a nice trip. We're going to Rome. Okay. We're going to spend, thousands of dollars on that trip, but it's not the most expensive trip, right? I looked at Hawaii before that, and Hawaii was more expensive than Rome. So sometimes you got to open your mind. You may have something set in your mind like, oh my gosh, going to Rome is really expensive. Maybe I'll just go to Hawaii one day. Hawaii is vastly more expensive than going to Rome. Which do you think is going to give you better experiences? Not that there's anything against Hawaii, but they got beaches and they got some food. Okay, that's about it. I know you could hike and they got a volcano and all that, but I can go to Rome and look at buildings that are 2,000-3,000 years old. That's pretty amazing stuff. It says here, okay, we got another comment here from Paul. You were fortunate to learn to be a go-getter at an early age. I think growing up in a lower income helps motivate you to strive for more. Absolutely. Absolutely it does. And it wasn't just, my childhood. I really am appreciative for it. My parents didn't know how to parent very well, so I was kind of a wild kid and I got in a lot of trouble. But I was in a very violent school too, so it taught me to protect myself. And the way you had to protect yourself in this school is you had to be the aggressor. You just had to be the aggressor. Now, I'm not the aggressor anymore. I'm not a violent person or anything like that, but I'm aggressive in business, okay? I'm aggressive in when I do an activity. I'm aggressive when I go to the gym because back then I had to do it so that I wouldn't be a victim, okay? Because in my school, there was no middle road, okay? In my school, there was no middle road. You say, well, JR, just don't be picked on and don't pick on anybody else. And you just go down the middle of the road. There was no middle of the road in our school. If you didn't pick on somebody else, you would be picked on. That's how it worked. That was the system. Okay. Not that far beyond a jail. That's the way it was. Matter of fact, we had kids who came to our school every day with bars on the windows of their bus because they came from a school called Tall Trees. And Tall Trees actually incarcerated kids who did adult crimes, and they were sent to our school. So that's who I went to school with. Okay. And I learned a lot from those people. Okay. I learned a lot of things to do, a lot of things not to do. I certainly learned how to protect myself. Okay. I certainly learned how not to be a pushover. So that did help me in the world. If I had grown up as some rich kid and everything was given to me, I know I'd be a lot softer, right, than I am now. And it doesn't mean I'm mean or aggressive or anything now, but if I need that, okay, then I will do that. The other day I was arguing, we have an office complex and I was overcharged and the person wanted to still overcharge me. And that's when I said, hey, you don't want me to be your enemy. That's not what you want. That's not what you want. So I think coming from this poorer background really does help you out. I think coming from this poorer background, it does something for you. It really does something for you. And money, I don't know if there's too much money. Elon Musk, I checked yesterday with the valuation of Tesla is worth $279 billion. And if you don't know what $1 billion is, it's 1,000 million. 1,000 million. Can you even picture 1,000 million? I mean, $1 million, you could buy a nice home. My neighborhood here, houses are starting in the millions and they go a little bit up from there, but $1 million is a lot of money. I can't imagine 279 billion. Let's see here. All right, let me put some of the comments up here. Paul's got a nice comment. He says, far too many are the scarcity mindset instead of the realization that there's enough to go around, but you have to go get it. This is true. However, it's how you're brought up. I was able to break away because I was told I was born poor. I was told that, there's rich people and there's poor people. Okay. Middle-class people are people with like college educations and stuff like that. Matter of fact, my dad, because I was getting a lot of trouble as a kid, when I was, 11, maybe 12, I was sent to Votech to learn a skill. And that skill was body work and painting cars. And he sent me to Votech because he said, you're never going to graduate high school. That's not going to happen. You're getting in too much trouble. So you need to go to Votech. So I learned how to paint cars and I did work at a body shop for a while and knock out dents and do all that stuff. And I did actually end up graduating high school, by the way. As a matter of fact, I skipped the 10th grade and I graduated when I was 16 years old. Not because I was a great student, but because I could understand stuff pretty well and I could take the test and they just pushed me forward. I later went to college, which was unheard of in my family. I was the first person in my family to ever go to college. And I did it in 3 years and 3 months. I got my bachelor's degree. I went to school year round. My last semester, I took 21 credit hours, which was tough because I was working full time too. So guys, these things can be done. A lot of the thoughts in your head come from your parents, came from your upbringing, came from things that happened to you, but they don't have to guide your future. Things in the past do not have to guide your future, okay? So keep that in mind. To answer your question, no, I have not made enough money. I want to make more. There's more things I want to do. There's more charities I want to help. There's more things I want to see. There's more places I want to visit. So I haven't made enough. I don't know how much enough is. Elon Musk may be able to tell you. I don't know. I don't think he uses his money much. He's single again, which I read the other day. I think he's had 9 children or 10, and one passed away, and he had 9. And he lives in a tiny house here in Austin, which whatever, but he's got 3 jets too, which, when you're the richest guy in the world, 3 jets is nothing. Okay. It's nothing. You could own 3 airlines if you're the richest guy in the world. I mean, that's just the way it is. So that's what I've got for you today. Let's see here. I think that's it. If you guys got any questions, you can pop it in there. If you're not watching this live, please do me a favor and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button down there. Turn it from red to gray. Don't forget to ring the bell. Turn on all bell notifications so you're notified each and every time I go live or if I upload a video. That was too fast, wasn't it? I think that was too fast. Let's see here. Paul has another comment. It takes a second for me to populate this. He says, bottom line, you have to do the work. Well, there's more to it than that. I want to add one thing to this. If you get something and you don't do the work, you won't appreciate it near as much. If you get something and you don't do the work, you won't appreciate it near as much. I'll leave you with that. Guys, thank you so much for being here today. I got a really cool place I'm going to today for lunch. It's extremely famous. Paul, you're going to want to check this out one day if you ever get a chance. This is a very famous town, very famous restaurants. I think you're going to think it's pretty cool. I know I think it's cool already. And I can't tell you where it is, Paul, but when you see it, you're going to want to look it up online because you'll be amazed how popular this place actually is. And I'm not talking in the Austin area. I'm talking not just the Texas state. I'm talking not just the United States, but around the world. This place is that famous. Not that expensive. It has nothing to do with cost. It has to do with history. So check that out. If you're not friends of mine on Facebook, become friends of mine on Facebook and you'll see pictures of this stuff. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Love you very much. Go out and be kind to some other person, and I will see you on Monday morning. It's already scheduled. See you Monday morning.